Thanks. Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk to you about Core Web Vitals. This is the next era of Google, how Google is going to change the web and how we are ranked and how we, what we expect from the web. So, who am I? I'm Cosette. I'm a mompreneur with a background in designing, developing, and teaching technology since 2005. Although my technology background had started way before then, I am a daughter of an IBMer, and I've been working with technology for as long as I can remember. I have loved it for as long as I can remember. I'm a former educational technology academic. I became an entrepreneur, mompreneur when my oldest was born. I'm known as the Techie Mama. I have two boys, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I really want to teach DIY mompreneurs how to build and grow their businesses so that they can live the lifestyle they want. So you can live the lifestyle you want. You can find me on all things at Techie Mama and on Twitter at Cosette. Okay, so what is Core Web Vitals? What is the scary thing that Google is implementing? First, we want to look at user experience. So Google dominates the search engine market worldwide with over 90% share of all search engines. It's aiming to promote websites that Google is aiming to promote websites that deliver the best possible user experience. Google's search algorithm update will focus on page experience by looking at factors such as speed, intrusive pop-ups, and poor visibility, making each of these an opportunity for you to improve your rankings. So user experience is number one. Number one in the new metrics, in the new vitals, everything. And we're going to break down what exactly that means. So what Google knows, with its large share of searches, it has a lot of knowledge. So Google processes 167 billion searches per month. That's a huge number. 167 billion searches per month. 89% of consumers conduct online research before buying a product. So think of your consumers, think of your users. They are conducting online research before buying a product. 94% of B2B companies do some sort of online research before making a buying decision. 88% of online consumers are less likely to return to a website after having a bad experience. And 75% of online customers admit to making judgments about a company's credibility based on the company's website design. Think about how you judge websites. We're making all these small judgments as we browse the web. I know I'm for sure someone who judges a company based on their website. If they have a really old looking website from the 1990s, I'm going to move on and I'm going to say, well, they're probably not serving my audience that's younger and in a different arena. If they have a site that is very slow or has a lot of pop-ups, a lot of ads, I may also move on. So you want to look at your user experience with other websites, see what bothers you, what you like, what you don't like, and see how that influences you, and then look at your website and check out if you're experiencing some of those same effects with your website. So Google cares about the user experience of your site. Core Web Vitals is a win for web creators and Google alike. So improving our Core Web Vitals is going to help Google, and it's going to help us because the user experience is so important. All right, so let's check out how Google ranks. Give me a second. Okay, get a little bit more light in here. How does Google rank? There are some top 5 factors to determine how Google ranks your site. So we want to look at core web vitals, which we're going to do a deep dive into, mobile friendliness, safe browsing and HTTPS. So we want to make sure that our website is safe for browsing, that there's no ads or anything that may be unsafe to click on, and that we have an HTTPS address. And then intrusive content. So this is pop-ups and things that are just going to bother the user. We want to make sure that we have a nice balance with that. I know as a marketer, you do need to have some for lead generation, but consider how it's being placed. Consider how often it's being popped up. Is it popping up on every single page, or is it on the home page only, or on a page where it makes sense? Like if it's a productivity post, is it, a freebie for productivity checklist or something like that, and it only comes up on that post or on that category? So check those things and see what you can control. The more you can fine tune that, the more you're going to attract your user, and the less it's going to be intrusive and users are going to be clicking out. So check how mobile and user friendly is your site. Open up your site on a mobile device and check it out. Browse your site like you've never been to your site before, or have someone else browse your site and see what they say when they browse your site. This is a great way to just check out and see what's going on with your site and see what might need to be changed from a user perspective. So total mobile web traffic has grown from just 31% in 2015 to over 50% in 2021. Google wants your site to be mobile friendly because it's growing and growing, the amount of people that are on mobile devices. And actually 50% is kind of low because we're almost at 55%. You can see the graph there. We start at 31.16% in Q1 of 2015, and over in Q1 of 2021, we're at almost 55%. And this is from Statistica. So, but that's a huge share of online devices. And I'm not sure why it dropped suddenly in kind of 18 and 19, but it went back up quite a bit. All right, so let's do a deep dive of the new core web vitals. So there's 3 metrics that we're going to look at. These are the 3 new metrics that Google is looking at to rank new sites with, and what we want to concentrate on. So the first metric is called largest contentful paint. What that is, so LCP, or largest contentful paint, is a measurement of how long it takes for the main content of a page to download and be ready to be interacted with. What is measured is the largest image or block of context within the user viewpoint. So anything that extends beyond that screen does not count. Let's take a closer look. So Google defines that this metric considers only the content above the page's fold, meaning everything that appears without scrolling, everything that you can see on your page, on your screen when you first load the page. This changes depending on browser and monitor size and so forth, but in general, that's what you want to test for. There's another relevant point, and that's the content that's to be considered. So the metric only counts the loading time of certain relevant user experience content, like images, video thumbnails, background images with CSS, and text elements like paragraphs, headings, and lists. And all three of these metrics, I have a link to a Google video that is very, very good. It's from someone at Google, and they break down all of these vitals and jump in even deeper into how to fix some of these. I'll let you watch that on your own. All right, so this is LCP, largest contentful paint. And you can see here what gets painted at 0.2 seconds, at 0.4 seconds, and then at 0.7 seconds, the hero image and all of the content is there. And in above the fold, what's viewable on the page. Here's another example. So the one in red is what we just saw, or very similar to what we just saw. And then the one in green is optimized. So at 0.2 seconds, the hero image is coming up. And then more of the content is coming up at 0.4 and 0.7. So this is optimized so that the largest content is available at 0.2 seconds, which would be part of the largest contentful paint. So how does Google score this? Anything below 2.5 seconds is good. Between 2.5 seconds and 4 seconds needs improvement. And then above 4 seconds, we consider that as poor. So to test, there's two different methods. Google is looking more and more at a method that's called field. And this is tons and tons of data that it's collecting from real live usage of your site. So you can look at field data in your search console and page speed insights and so forth. What we're more used to testing is the lab mode, and that's going to be in our Chrome DevTools and Lighthouse. So take a look at what you can see from these two. In some cases, you may not have as much field data, and so you just have to go with the lab mode. All right, so this is my site. We have it loading down here at the bottom. You can see kind of the progression as it loads. And my largest contentful paint is set at 1.7 seconds. So we're doing pretty good. We're under that 2.5 threshold. So I'm here, the real site score. Okay, so our next vital is called Cumulative Layout Shift. And the Cumulative Layout Shift is content shifting on the page elements shifting on the page as the page loads and causing poor user experience because things have moved and you weren't expecting that. So the kinds of elements that tend to cause shift are fonts, images, videos, content forms, buttons, all kinds of different content. Minimizing CLS is super important because it can cause a really poor user experience, and a poor CLS code score is indicative of coding issues that can be solved. So this is one that with a little bit of knowledge of what's going on can be resolved. So in plain English, or in a little bit more just kind of normal speak, imagine if your user experience is ruined in a second because the page is something unexpected, like moving the content because it's not done loading yet. So that's not great at keeping people engaged. When that happens, it means there is a layout shift. It can go from just annoying the reader of a content a little bit to actually provoking damage, such as when it causes people to click on the wrong link. So we can see an example of this on this slide. Here we go. So here we have a user that's saying, no, I want to go back. And instead they submitted the order because something popped up and it shifted down. So let's watch that again. Order confirmation, 56 things, no, go back. And that jumped up the pro tip and they clicked on the wrong button. and they now bought 56 items at who knows how much. So that can be really annoying and really damaging. Here's another example. This is much simpler. This isn't as frustrating, even though it can be still frustrating. Something that I'm sure everyone has experienced, where you're loading the content, you're scrolling, and you press, and suddenly you're on a banner that then loads an ad or goes to another page or does something unexpected. And here you can see that the space for the banner is set. And so as you're scrolling, nothing happens unexpectedly, even if the banner doesn't load right away. So the scoring for cumulative layout shift is very complex, involving a lot of things, but the thresholds are 0.1 and 0.25. 0.1 means good. You want to aim towards a score of 0. 0.25 needs improvement, and anything above that is poor. The most common causes of poor CLS are images without dimensions, anything without dimensions that need dimensions. So ads, embeds, and iframes, all of these without dimensions are things that are going to cause poor CLS. Dynamically injected content. So think of your ads that are dynamically injected via JavaScript, your Google AdSense, or your network, your other ad networks. Those are going to cause movement if they don't have a placeholder. And web fonts can also cause CLS. So a lot of different things that, for the most part, can be fixed relatively easily. All right, so our real site data, we have my site here again, and my cumulative layout shift test comes at 0.049, so we're within the threshold of being good. And here is kind of where I fall, so 0.0549, not seconds, I mistyped there, but that threshold is good. All right, our last vital is called the first input delay. And the first input delay was the hardest for me to wrap my mind around, but it's probably one of the simplest. It's the first interaction. When can a user do a first interaction with your site? How long does that take to get that first interaction to be possible? So FID is the measurement of the time it takes for a browser to respond to a site's visitors' first interaction with the site while the site is loading. This is sometimes also called input latency. So an interaction can be tapping a button, a link, a key press, filling in a form, text input box areas, drop downs, and checkboxes. All of these are interaction, some kind of interaction with the page. Scrolling and zooming do not count because there's no response expected from the site itself. But everything else, clicking on a link, tapping on a button, doing a form, all of that is the first input. The goal for first input delay is to measure how responsive a site is while it's loading. So the first input delay is the metric that measures the delay in response time for a specific user action performed for the first time on a website. Browsers usually have a delay, which is considered normal, but it needs to stay within an acceptable limit. The first impression on a site can be decisive for the user's engagement. If this experience is negative right from the beginning, there's a chance that the page will be abandoned, resulting in a future dropout. So first input delay is all about the first interaction on the site, and the longer it is, the worse the impact will be on the UX or the user experience. All right, so this scoring is done in milliseconds. So we have 100 milliseconds is good, 300 milliseconds needs improvement, and beyond that is poor. Causes of issues for input delay go back to JavaScript a lot. So from Google, in general, input delay or input latency happens because the browser's main thread is busy doing something else, so it can't yet respond to the user. One common reason this might happen is the browser is busy parsing and executing a large JavaScript file loaded by your app. While it's doing that, it can't run any event listeners or the code that is waiting for interaction, because the JavaScript it's loading might tell it to do something else. So if you have a lot of JavaScript running, if you have a lot of JavaScript that's waiting, that's loading and figuring out what it's going to do on your site, this may cause some issues. So in the testing, what you want to look at is the total blocking time. This is the closest thing to first input delay. Here I have 240 milliseconds. So I fall into the needs improvement. And this is one of the things that you have to do. You have to kind of do a checks and balances and see, okay, is the JavaScript I'm running crucial to the website, crucial to the user experience, that waiting a little bit longer to do that first input will be okay? Or is it something that I can live without? So I, for example, have Google Analytics running. I have a chat widget running. I have a little video of me welcoming people running. Those are all different JavaScripts that are running. I have ConvertBox to bring in banners and lead magnets. So those are all different things I have running on my website, and I can decide, okay, do I really need the little video pop-up, or do I really need the chat? Maybe the chat is most useful on the checkout page or on my sales pages, and I don't need it on my main website. So you can do kind of a checks and balances and figure out what is the most important things for my website. And is it to get the score exactly right, or is it to provide these user experiences to my users because they may want to chat with me, or they may really feel welcome by seeing a video of me welcoming them? So think about your website, of your needs, of your audience, and make the decision with these. Let's move on, and I'll talk more about this. So how do I know if my site is ready for Core Web Vitals? So one thing I want y'all to remember is the Core Web Vitals are for the long game, not just fix and forget. You want to make sure that you're checking in on the Core Web Vitals regularly. It's part of your Google Search Console. It's something that you can see readily there. So check on it regularly, check on it, have it part of your analytics, or however often you check on your Google Search Console, and try and fix things here and there as you can. Check your scores, fix what you can as much as you can. So like page speed, some of these metrics are really hard to meet, especially with sites that are doing a lot to engage the users. So take all of this, it's very, very, very good ideas and very good recommendations from Google. And of course, we want to listen to it because they're going to be ranking based on this. But at the end of the day, you also need to know who your users are. And if you strip your site of everything that's there for your users, you're also going to lose users. So, and lose your audience that wants all of that. So figure out a good place for you and your business of what you need and what you want. Okay, so if you want to learn more about Core Web Vitals and how to test and how to fix, I am doing a follow-up training called Conquering Core Web Vitals on May 25th from 10:30 to probably 12:30, a little bit longer than today's. You can sign up. It's only $25, and it will increase to $50 when I add it to the course site. Couple other things are going on. We have this month the Rebel Boss Summit going on from the 17th through the 21st next week. We also have the Ultimate Homemaking Bundle, which is going to be really awesome. Have something for everyone going on from the 19th through the 24th. The summit is completely free. The Ultimate Homemaking Bundle, I believe, is going to be $37, but it's 48 products worth more than $2,000. I have my WordPress course in there with, I think, like 20 plus modules of how to get your WordPress site set up and maintained. And there's so much content. It's really, really a great bundle. And the Ultimate Homemaking Bundle partnered with, I forgot her name, but one of the best homemaking bloggers, and she's going to do a webinar called The 5 Steps to a Chaos-Free Home. If I could have a chaos-free home in 5 steps, that would be quite amazing. And that is on the 17th or the 18th, and you can sign up at the link there. Here are some resources. So I got this content from a couple different search engine optimization sites, content sites, and then the web.dev is Google's site specifically for this. And a couple of my favorite tools for SEO and page speed. WP Rocket is a really great plugin available for WordPress to speed up your site by combining scripts and CSS and doing all kinds of things with cache to make your site a lot faster and help you with those metrics. WP Engine, so hosting plays a super, super big role in your speed and security and so forth. And they are highly recommended hosting that they target very much towards speed. So if you're on a different host and wonder if your host might be what's slowing you down, you may take a look at WP Engine and see how they could improve your site. Smush Pro is one of my favorite plugins to reduce the size of images, compress images, convert images to a smaller file type, and all of that speeds up your site. And then Cloudflare is a CDN designed to make everything you connect to the internet secure, private, fast, and reliable. So it keeps everything kind of in one place and really helps with the speed and security of your site. All right, and with that, we are at questions, and I will see what y'all have.